Hey, you magnificent brain tornado. Welcome to the Launch Lady Show. If you're here, you're probably feeling that familiar pull, the one that says you're meant to build something bigger. But you're doing it with a brain that refuses to stay inside the lines. You're tired of pretending that you operate the way other entrepreneurs do. And honestly, you're done trying. I'm Brooke, the Launch Lady, custom launch strategist, digital business designer, and a woman who spent years shape-shifting into versions of myself that looked acceptable, disciplined, and together, until I realized none of those versions were actually who I am. So now I build my business the only way that works, by honoring my instincts, my energy cycles, my chaos, my clarity, and the deeply nonlinear becoming that comes with being a neurodivergent woman in entrepreneurship. And that's what this show is. It's a behind-the-scenes look at what it actually takes to become the kind of woman who launches. Not just launching offers, but ideas, identities, boundaries, and entirely new versions of ourselves. Around here, I tell the truth. Your business won't grow in a straight line. Your creativity won't show up on command. Your brain will do its own thing. And that thing is often pure genius when you stop trying to force it into a blueprint that was never designed for you. We don't build by squeezing ourselves into someone else's system. We build by creating businesses that bend with us, support us, and make space for who we actually are. This isn't a place for perfect strategies or step-by-step formulas. This is real, evolving, unfiltered journey of what it looks like to create a life and a business you're proud of, while learning, unlearning, remembering, and rebuilding ourselves in real time. My mission is simple. I want to show you what's possible, to remind you that your brain is not a liability, it's a creative force, and to walk beside you as you become the woman who launches the life she actually wants. All right, you beautiful chaos, you. Let's dive in. In today's episode, I want to talk to you about becoming the launch lady, because I didn't wake up one day and just decide to be her. I've actually been launching my business for the last 20 years before I ever called it anything, before I ever recognized that's what I was actually doing and getting really good at. So this episode is about how launching has shaped me and how becoming the launch lady has become a reflection of actually becoming myself. It's a nonlinear story. It is super neurodivergent coded. It's instinct led, but it's a lot of truth, a lot of my truth. So I have to take you back like 20 years to give you the full story, to give you the whole picture. I first recognized that I wanted to be an entrepreneur of some kind over 20 years ago when I started seeing people, because when I first started this, we have to go back to a time when Facebook was brand new. It was just coming off from being exclusively a college student thing and starting to be your mom and grandma could get on Facebook. And it took a little while. For a bit, it was more high school kids got on it, and then our moms got on it, and then our grandmas got on it. And for a while, it was a wild west of a world where we were just trying to figure things out. I remember you used to be able to post just a picture of something that you sold, like a really horrible, awful graphic, and just be like, I have this for sale, or I'm selling this, and do you want any? And that actually kind of worked for a little while. So it was a wild west world for entrepreneurship. But I remember seeing people finding success on social media, on Facebook, in direct sales. Now, I have a long journey that I took with direct sales, and we're not going to go into that today. It's for an episode for another day. It's an interesting relationship, and there's a lot of things to discover and talk about within that. And that's, again, like I said, another episode for another day. So the high level of that is the reason I was drawn to direct sales is it looked like an easy way to step into entrepreneurship. I didn't have to have a storefront. I didn't have to have a bunch of inventory that I needed to keep stored in my home. And I was intrigued by being able to create income from home, not having to go into an office to create income. And I knew from a very young age, even before I knew I was neurodivergent, that office life even though it was what I was supposed to do and that's what I was working towards, probably wasn't actually for me. So I started grasping at things that might look like something that could possibly help me create income from home. And so I stepped into direct sales, and it's a wild ride that I went on with direct sales because I could never really quite find the thing I was looking for. And so I would hop from company to company to company looking for like a moral alignment, or looking for the right product, or looking for the thing that would catch, that would make me excited, that would take off for me. And I got close several times in finding success with direct sales. I also learned a lot. I learned how not to do things. I learned what things worked for me. I learned that I could launch over and over and over with a million different companies, but as long as I was keeping me central to it and showing up as myself, that it was pretty easy to keep a customer base. So I kept doing it. And little did I know it was going to prepare me for where I was going, for what I was becoming. I will be honest with you, though, I felt like a huge fraud over and over, launching over and over, because I kept thinking and telling myself the story in my head, and maybe it was true, maybe it wasn't, that people were like, oh, here she goes again, a new thing, another thing. Don't get too excited because Brooke's going to be doing a new thing next week. She's just started something new, but just wait. Brooke's going to be doing something new. And it wasn't quite like weekly, but it was frequent enough that I did tell myself that people were probably watching me in a way that was like, can't she just stick to something? What is wrong with her? When in reality, looking back, I stayed with something for as long as I could learn something from it, and then I moved on. I stayed with something for as long as I could absorb everything I needed to absorb from it, and then leave the rest behind and move on and try and grow into a different direction, a new direction, a better direction. I was collecting data, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I was collecting data. I was trying to understand myself more. I was learning things that were going to be useful for me in the future. And from the outside looking in, it probably looked inconsistent and probably looked wild. It probably looked like I couldn't commit to something. But I was launching over and over and over, learning a set of skills and taking things from inside of growing a business in different places to learn what I needed to learn to become who I am today. After a bout of time with direct sales, and realizing that, this probably isn't the path for me, I started to create my own things. I actually launched a branding business that was really successful in 2020. And then the pandemic hit, and I kind of just like spiraled and stopped and decided that this wasn't the thing that I was going to be able to do. It wasn't the thing that I was meant for. And whether or not that was true, I had a lot of learning and a lot of things to overcome before I could become the entrepreneur I was today. So I dove into something that was my own and did that for a while. Decided that wasn't where I wanted to be, relaunched myself back into direct sales, took another nonlinear path to becoming involved in a direct sales corporate world, learning that I was actually good at helping people behind the scenes and with strategy and with training and things like that through that path, and eventually left my corporate job to pursue exactly that. I was going to help other people. And in all of this, I realized that that's something that I was always good at all the way through it. Was I wanted to be there for other people, whether it was through service with a product, whether it was through teaching someone something that they could do in their business that would help them to further theirs. I realized that it was instinct for me to grab onto other people and try to pull them alongside me and pull them up with me. And I really did enjoy that part of it. But 2020, let's talk about 2020, because we all went through something in 2020, good, bad, ugly, and everything in between. 2020 was a earth-shattering, core-changing year for me. I, at that point, learned so many things about myself and started to realize so many things about myself, not least of which was that I was very likely a neurodivergent person, and that I had been masking for so long and trying to show up in life in a very specific way, within a very specific set of rules. And this is another story for another episode, but I had so much unlearning and unmasking to do, and I still continue to do that to this day, 5, 6 years later. But as I started to do that, things started to just kind of explode, and not in a great way. It was a way where I had to, like I said, unlearn so many things, learn what pieces of me weren't actually me, but were things that I was putting out there into the world because I needed to or had to or was expected to. And understanding more about who I was and what I actually wanted and how I actually felt. It was an amazing time, and it still is an amazing time, and I'm in awe of that whole situation. And when I realized that this was actually paralleling my business, was paralleling where I was in my life, I realized that I had started so many years back knowing one little thing about myself, one little true thing about myself. And that was that I was not meant for the things that are expected of us in corporate America in that kind of world. I saw that about myself. I knew that wholly about myself then. Whether or not I fully understood what that was and what that meant, well, I didn't. I didn't know that. But I knew a little. I knew enough. And I hung on to that true thing about myself. Holy shit, I'm having a revelation. I hung on to that true thing about myself. And I never let go. I never let go through shaming myself, through feeling shame through others, through not being understood by myself or not being understood by others. I hung on to that true thing. I hung on and I never let go. And I never will. So I learned how to launch. I learned how to launch over and over and over again. And something about launching always felt really good. It felt so fun. It was exciting. It was knowing that there was a lot of possibility. And as I learned more about my neurodivergence and how that's showing up in me, I learned that there's two things that neurodivergent people need that are very contradicting to each other, that I need as a neurodivergent person, that are very contradicting to each other. And that is, I need structure and continuity, but I also thrive in chaos. And if I don't have that, I'm bored as fuck. So I found that in launching, those two things are perfectly married to each other. Launching is the same. Whether you're launching a new business, you're launching a new product, you're launching a podcast, you're launching a freebie, the structure and the things that are required are the same. There's different levels of like energy that needs to be put in different parts of that based on what you're launching, but it's the same. It is the exact same thing. And that's the structure. That's the continuity that exists. But launching something different and something new, and whether it's a business or a freebie or a podcast or whatever, a new version of yourself, a brand, a whole fucking business, those things are the exciting part. I get to help people, and I love helping people in that excitement. When we're very excited about launching something new, we've built something. We want to tell the world about this something. It's exciting and it's so much fun. But I get to help you with the stuff behind the scenes that stays the same no matter what. I get to help you with the foundation to the whole thing so that this thing that you've built, this precious baby of a thing that you've built, can launch off into the world and change it. And in a way, I get to help you become someone who, whatever it is, I get to help you become someone who launches. I get to help you become someone who shares this piece of something out into the world with everybody else. I get to help you become something within this launch. And that's the coolest part, truly the coolest part. And I don't want to put so much weight on this that it feels big when I say this, but I don't think we realize how much of ourselves is also launched in the things that we put out into the world. I don't just help you launch offers or a podcast. I help you launch your identity out into the world. And sometimes it's not that dramatic and sometimes it's not that big, but it is a piece of you that you're throwing out there. And I get to be there for that. I get to help you with the structure behind the scenes. I get to be there in your excitement. I get to be there. It's so fucking cool. It is so fucking cool because I know what launching has done for me and I know what launching can do for you. And I want to hold it like the precious thing it is and help it explode. So this is the thing that finally feels right. This is the thing that I've been training for my whole life, launching. And it feels like a calling instead of like a branding idea or a business. It feels like this is something I'm meant to do. It feels like it makes sense. And that is just, it's so cool. It's not even something I chose. It's something that was realized and recognized. It's something I became. And now I realize and recognize that I am called to be the woman to help women become the kind of women who launch in business and in life. And it's so fucking awesome. So if I could leave you with anything today, don't be afraid of the zigzag that life's taking you on, the journey that you're going on. The journey is the point. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be ashamed of it. Go on it. Go on the journey because you're going somewhere and becoming something in that journey. It is a nonlinear path of evidence. A nonlinear path of evidence of becoming something, and it's not failure. You're not lost on this path. You're gathering the things that you need along the way. And if my journey's taught me anything, it's that the becoming that you're having, that you'll have someday, will all make sense in hindsight. So just keep going. Keep going and become a woman who launches.